Good morning. Welcome to One Baha'i. I guess it's becoming a regular show again, where I just sit back and talk a little bit about the Baha'i faith, my own thoughts on it. It's nothing official. It's just me, one individual, one Baha'i. Okay, so I'm cheating today. I was going to record this again tomorrow when I'm posting it, but I actually recorded it yesterday, which is now today, because it's supposed to rain tomorrow, and I've had a few people say they like me filming this outside, so I'm doing 2 for 1. So a couple days ago, I talked about nature as a metaphor for spirituality. Yesterday, I talked about black holes and how we can perceive or we can conceive of a series of universes as multiple bubbles expanding. Each bubble universe would have encapsulated within it its own flow of time. Of course, one of the questions would be, what is the medium in which these bubble universes are existing? Who knows? That's in many ways really beyond our ability to perceive. So I wanted to talk about the implications of this spiritually for me. You see, first, when I think about time, I think about the magnitude of time. I think about, what am I doing today that will be remembered tomorrow? What will I do today that will be remembered in 5 years? What will I do today that will have a difference on the planet in 100 years? And really, I can keep going. 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000. And I haven't even touched on even close to the age of the universe. When we are told that contemplating God will make us uncomfortable, this to me is part of what it is. When I understand my absolute insignificance in the universe around me, I could easily fall into despair and say, everything I make, all of my artwork, all of my conversations, these videos, everything will be lost in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. So what's the point? Well, to me, the point is spiritual growth. We're told that we are part of an ever-advancing civilization. So my job as a human is not to make a difference in 1,000,000 years. My job is to make a difference for tomorrow, so that my child will make a difference in the next day, so that those people there will make a difference in the next few years. All I am is a single link in a chain, and that's fine. Another aspect of it is that when I look at the concept of the fetus in the womb, when I was in the womb, I had to grow my arms and my eyes and my ears, not because I needed them there, but because I needed them for when I come out of the womb. I would need them in this world. Here, we are told to grow our spiritual body, our compassion, our mercy, our understanding, our love, and that this will be the limbs of our body in the next world. So I can imagine using this concept of the black hole that I described yesterday. I can imagine when I shed my body, when my soul moves on, I don't think it moves into this world. I think it moves to the edge of that bubble universe and is born out of it. Remember, Baha'u'llah says that we will become aware of the effect of all of our actions. This isn't part of our being in the next world. If we are at the edge of the universe, we experience all of creation at a single moment. That's what the mathematicians and physicists say. I'll believe it, because if I could do that, then I would see the effect that my actions have on those around me. Not just as I do it, but 5 years down the road, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. I would be able to see the ripple effect of all of my actions. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it makes me consider what I'm doing. It makes me think again before I take an action. Do I really want to do this action? Will I be satisfied with the effects of it? Because I'll see them. I'm told this by Baha'u'llah himself. But like the womb, we cannot even begin to imagine what this world is like when we're in the womb. I cannot begin to conceive of what life would be like beyond this physical, time-restrictive universe. It's beyond my imagination. My wife made an interesting observation the other day. We were reading a prayer, and at the end of the prayer, Baha'u'llah says, "Thy might in truth is equal to all things." And she said, well, wait a second, might, isn't that energy? And all things, isn't that matter? So energy equals matter. The relationship between the two is c squared. E equals mc squared. And she suddenly had this vision of Baha'u'llah giving us this formula. Thy might in truth is equal to all things. And then when I think of this bubble universe concept postulated by Hawking, I realize that this entire universe is no more than a bubble in soda water. Baha'u'llah talks about the effervescent nature of this world. And again, science is bearing that out. So we can, if we are so inclined, fall into great despair over this. Or we can start building our body for the next world. It also makes me realize the ridiculousness of trying to collect things, of being wrapped up in material existence. I've been watching online shows like the Antiques Roadshow, and I've been looking at various auction houses. I'm just curious to see what people are interested in. And I'll use the example of like a comic book collection, Superman. People are spending millions of dollars to try to get a complete run of Superman, Action Comics #1, Superman #1, etc. And I just think, what good will that do us in 50 years, in 100 years, in 1,000 years? What benefit can we possibly get from this when we are at the edge of the physical universe moving into the next step of our creation? And I realize it is such a waste of resources. Now, there is the utility of beauty. You know, it's nice to be surrounded by beauty. I get this. I understand it. It has an effect on our spiritual being. But not to the point where others suffer from want. I don't get that. I really don't. But one other thing that I wanted to talk about this idea of a bubble universe, is that first and foremost, it is absolutely wrong. I know that. My conception of this bubble universe, it's not true. It is useful but it is just as incorrect as God the clockmaker or the brain computer. I am merely taking the latest in science and trying to visualize a spiritual reality around it. And it is useful because it gets me to reconsider my relationship with the material world. It gets me to think more about the importance of focusing on spiritual development. But the beauty of it is that I know that it's wrong. And that's okay, because science will continue to develop. Another messenger of God will come, and he will further refine our understanding of the world around us. So I wanted to share that today. Actually, I wanted to share that over the last few days. That idea that no matter what we perceive, no matter how we imagine it, as useful as it is fundamentally incomplete, because it is a metaphor. And metaphors, by definition, can never become the reality. So I wanted to thank you very much for putting up with me for the last few days with these different thoughts. I would love to hear your insights and your comments on this. And just as one last little thing, as I read the various prayers of Baha'u'llah for the departed, and I think of this bubble universe and the soul being like, I don't know, like a chicken coming out of an egg, the more beautiful I love this metaphor, the more beautiful I think this metaphor is. It gives me something to visualize, but I know in the end my visualization is incomplete. So thank you again. We'll talk soon.